Derek.
Yes, sir.
Derek.
Mm-hmm.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Derek.
Hello?
Derek.
Hello?
Derek.
Hi, I hear you.
I don't know what's going on. Derek.
Hold on, let me... Hello? Hello?
Hey, Derek.
What are you doing? What are you What's happening? Did you intentionally do that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I can't with you tonight. Lord.
Welcome to the NerdCave News. I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined along with Beware. If you're nasty in the chat, our ninja assassin, the golden knife, will come after you.
Ooh, I like it, especially its own brand for Sifu, even though it's Kung Fu versus Ninja, but you know, I like it. I like it a lot. Very, very well used for tonight's show.
Golden knife, we're glad that you're here. I know
I'm
you've
glad to be here.
I know you've your blade is ready to quench its thirst with the blood of painful chatters, the ones that talk crap. They got to get capped.
Right.
But the only way you cap them is with your blade, the golden knife.
Give him that Colombian necktie.
Oh yeah. Black Dahlia ain't got nothing on the golden knife.
You right.
Yeah.
Black Dahlia is an invitation to me.
Yeah. Beware.
Mm-hmm.
Beware. This episode is brought to you by our wonderful patrons. You can become part of the ship, part of the exclusive crew by going to patreon.com/nerdcave. Just like our wonderful crew members, the first mate, Brandon Hicks, the helmsman, the conductor, gunners, Richard Newell, Daniel Sanford, Rushing Waters Yoga, Marilyn James, Brittany, the Granny, B. Harrison, and our deckhand, Martin Sager. They couldn't hear you, but I'll let you go one more time. He went pow, 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 pow. Discord. Win some and you lose some.
I know.
If you don't have the extra bucks to toss our way, you can support us by using our Epic Creator Code in the Epic Games Store or in in-game purchases like Fortnite, Rocket League, and if you're still playing that delightful, colorful explosion called Fall Guys, you can check us out there as well on any device. Use our Epic Creator Code NerdCave at checkout to support us with every purchase on the Epic Game Store. So, you know, you want to be Nathan Drake, you want to be Spider-Man, you want to be Batman, you want to be Thanos, John Wick.
You can be anybody.
You can be anybody.
It is literally the ultimate toy box.
Yeah. Just use NerdCave at checkout.
Yeah.
Derek, I don't know. I mean, Golden Knife, I don't know if you know this, but this is the NerdCave News, where each and every week we run you through all the video game news that you need to know. You can watch us live each and every week on twitch.tv/NerdCave on Thursdays. Or you can watch the show later over on youtube.com/NerdCave Network. Make sure to hit the follow and the subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything, and like it so more people will get to see the video. And Golden Knife, whoosh, we got a podcast version while you're out, you know, ninja assassinating people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're getting your Rasengan, you know, all that good stuff. You know, you know, you got all of that, the Chichiri or whatever, you know, you got Chidori, you know, you got your sucker punches and your whatever. You got all of them. You know what I mean? You got all of them. And, you know.
Not to get off topic, but speaking of Sucker Punch, did you see that a new job listing hinting at a Ghost of Tsushima sequel?
We'll get there. No, we won't.
Okay.
We won't get there.
No, we won't.
We won't get there tonight. But while you're out ninjaing,
Yeah.
you're going from you're supporting the land of fire. You know what I mean? You're keeping
Yeah.
everything safe. Golden Knife. You could be listening to us on Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, or Anchor. You can subscribe and listen each and every week. While you're there, leave us a 5-star review. And Derek, the show is early on. And there's a lot of video game podcasts out there.
Yeah.
You want to know where we rank right now? Like 3 or 4
Oh,
episodes
yeah.
in?
Yeah, let me see.
We're 282 out of every video game podcast.
Hey, you got to start somewhere. I'm happy for top 300.
Yeah, like I got an email and I was like,
"Huh?
Nani?"
Right.
I was like,
you gotta admit, like, I know when we were in college, like, podcasts were just starting to gain momentum, but now, like, everyone does a podcast.
Yeah.
There's a podcast. I'm sure there are podcasts about dissecting podcasts at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be fair. Yeah. But think about how many video game podcasts there are, and we're in the top 300. That is fantastic.
Kind of Funny literally has like 4 video game podcasts.
Right.
In and of itself. IGN has like 4 or 5 in and of itself as well. So
yeah,
for us to be sitting at 282, like I'm feeling pretty
good. We're doing good. Yeah, exactly.
So guys, let's climb the charts.
Yeah.
You can help us. Go check us out, podcast versions. Go listen to it. It's a totally different experience on the edited version. I will tell you that. We put a little thing in front that's not even part of the show. So if you're listening live, you might have heard it. But if you're not listening live, you wouldn't have heard any of those things. You'd be like, what's going on? Is that part of the show? No. It's part of the pre-show show.
Yeah.
Now we finished February. Now we're in March. We're in March.
Yes, sir.
We're marching to the beat of our own drum here at
For sure.
NerdCave. And we have picked a new game club game for the month of March. It is Horizon Forbidden West. And I am excited, Derek, to get into Horizon.
You and me and Dan have all been playing it already since it's come out, and we're having a blast.
Which I think I saw Brandon playing it as well over on the PS4 side of things. We've been playing it on stream, and dude, the graphics of Horizon, so good.
I know you texted me and you were like, "Man, I'm about to cry."
Like they are so beautiful. The skin textures, the ray tracing, the lighting
particle effects. Like how good the blight. Like the blight is supposed to be like this harbinger of death, and it like the particle effects like that ripple off of it is just so beautiful. It's like mesmerizing. I'm like, how can something so bad look so good in a game?
Well, just go over there and start breathing, and Aloy's like,
right.
Like every time you get near,
smoker's lung. That and if you have like clouds of acid.
So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Dan says Horizon Forbidden West. Who could have guessed?
Right.
Now we could have picked Elden Ring, and none of us would have been.
No, please no. I can't take another brutal video game. Like Lord,
I'm looking forward to getting to spend more time with Horizon. This one will be a little bit different than Sifu. We only gave Sifu a month. This one, on the other hand, will be a 2-month just game club game because it is so big. Dan's already like 40 plus hours into this game, and he hasn't even scratched the surface.
Yeah.
He's fought, saber-toothed tigers. He's laughed at the devil in the pale moonlight. He's looked into his reflection and saw that it was bad. Those are all things that have not happened in that game. That's what Dan does on the weekends. But guys, that's what we're going to be doing in March. Is our game club game is going to be Horizon Forbidden West. So coming
probably
to us,
April too.
In April, we already said it's 2 months. It's 2 months.
Okay.
March, April.
Yeah.
And if we need to go further than that, we might. Who knows?
I don't know, but not to get too far down the road here, sir. But I'm thinking, May is Star Wars month, and a lot of Star Wars stuff is happening. I'm thinking May, we do that Lego Star Wars Skywalker saga for that game club game. So
I
So,
might have to
but
start
that's
earlier on it though, but you know, yeah.
yeah. But hey, that is 3 months down, 2 months down the road. We are in the now right now.
We're in
We
the
we got to
now.
talk about last month's
We
game.
got to talk about last month's game. Let's get into the gaming discussion this week. And that is, Derek, can you give me a drum roll?
hmm
There's no sound. He's just jiggling his thing. This is our Sifu review. Now, Derek, this game was brutal
Oh my gosh!
in so many
Like,
ways. In so many ways. Give me
yeah.
kind of like your synopsis, like overview of Sifu, just like your, your 2 sentence review.
Unforgiving gameplay, but you have to capitalize on the tools they give you to get better.
Okay. Mine would be, you must learn
Grasshopper.
or you will die.
Yeah, that too.
So let's jump into it. Story. There's not a lot to go on here with the story.
No, no.
It's very basic, but that's not why we're here. You know what I mean? It's not like the story like just sets up why you're going after these people.
Yeah,
It does have a pretty interesting like prologue twist where you're playing as the bad guys at the beginning, and you don't know that.
yeah.
You don't know that.
No,
And it's like,
and
good.
I was going to say, yeah, like for the story is it's like your typical like revenge tale, whatnot. So it's nothing to write home about. It's not reinventing the wheel. But the biggest thing it does is have this prologue twist because you're playing as this like dark-haired man, and like in the previews we see the main character with dark hair, and you're like, all right, maybe this is like him growing up or him going on like his first mission type of thing. And then as you're going through the prologue mission, and you see these other figures, and I'm like, huh. He doesn't have a posse in the game. Like in all the trailers, he doesn't have this posse, yet here are these certain characters that are like posted around the area, and I'm like, huh, something ain't right. Something doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And you get to it, and it's like, we're gonna go spoilers here, obviously, so you've been warned. You get to there and you fight the dad. And it's like, he's wanting revenge because, I forget exactly. It's like, oh, he cast him out or wouldn't teach him his ways of kung fu or whatnot. So he's like, all right, you either teach me or you die. And he dies. And then you see the main character come out and see this and is a witness. And then the main villain sees that Wong or Yang, one of the two. I think it's Yang actually. Anyway, Yang sees you and he's just like, you must die too. Kills you, and then that's when this whole like reincarnation or like revival mechanic gets introduced. So that was really cool to see. Like, it's very rarely used that you play as the villains in video games all too often. Outside of like DLC side story type of thing. So that was a nice thing to like, and it was just a nice way to invent the mechanics because Yang is already like a master at this point, so it's easy to just get in and learn the moves from the get go.
And like, it's all kind of like this section is like your tutorial, and then after like you get struck down and everything, you choose if you're like, I didn't know they had like female and male in the game.
Yeah, me either.
I was very surprised because they didn't put that out at all during their marketing. But then like you have each one of the villains, the 5 villains that you fight against, and they do a tutorial section, and it's like the most cool stylized tutorial section, and teaches you the basics. And I will say this, I wished I would have paid more attention to that tutorial section than I did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just like, I'm just breezing through this. Let's get to the first level. Let's get through that and everything. But
technically the tutorial wasn't even a true rendition when you get to the boss fights either, though. Let's be fair.
Oh, yeah. Definitely not. But overall, like, the story is very basic. My experience was much different. Okay, I'll kind of explain how I experienced the game because I'm playing on stream. We keep it family friendly on the stream and everything.
Yeah.
So I muted all dialogue and all subtitles. So I had no idea what was being said throughout the whole entire game. I was just like, coming up with stuff and inferring off of different things or whatever. So I
Mhm.
have no idea what like quips or anything that was said, but
Yeah.
like I was like, okay, this guy's name is Sean because we see Sean
Yeah.
over and over and over again. The rest of the
Yeah.
people, I have no idea what their names are. Botanist, I know him, botanist with the
Yeah.
machete and the crazy eyes. It makes me feel like I need an adult. Um, but
It's just your local crackhead. It'll be all right.
yeah, and then crazy lady, oh my gosh, it's like she she got dumped too many times and like went like crazy.
Oh, yeah. You talking about the museum?
Yeah, the third, yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh.
Like
Yeah.
she's difficult. Like I got her like all the way to like an eighth of health and then died. I
Oh, I
was
hate that. I hate that
yeah, yeah, but I was like super
for
over.
any boss
I
fight.
was like
Yeah.
70. I was like, yeah, you know, you know.
You know, on your walker like Master Splinter, like
Yeah, yeah, pretty much, pretty much. So let's jump into the world, the level design and everything. Each one of these are very unique, levels
yes.
and everything. You've experienced them all. I only got
Yeah.
to about halfway through the game and everything because the way these are designed, there are multiple ways to attack a level. The first time you're
Yeah.
going through, you're going to have to go through everything. You're going to have to
Yep.
go through every room, and you will get, card keys or keys to get different paths open and everything.
Mhm.
I really like that system because it gave you,
Yeah.
when you went back to replay, because that's part of the game loop and everything is replaying
Yeah.
stuff, is
Especially if you wanna try to go to end on a younger run.
yeah, exactly. Is like you might not get a higher level score, but you get out
Yeah.
of there much younger because you're not having to go through hordes and hordes and hordes of enemies and everything. So, what
Yeah.
did you think about the levels design? I thought they were like really pretty, very diverse and interesting and everything. I
Mhm.
experienced 3 out of the 5. So what did you think, Derek?
I liked them a lot, and it's very renditive, like, and as you went, you'll see it if you ever like continue to play it. I don't know if I'll ever beat the final boss, just to say since I've already looked at the ending on YouTube or whatever. But I can say that if you notice it, as you go through each level, it starts to get cleaner. Like when you first go through the first level to go to the botanist, it's like run down, like there's garbage. You hear the flies buzzing around. Then when you get to the club, it's a little bit more clean and tidy, but there's still messy areas. And then as far as you've got in the museum, is more clean kept, more like upper middle class type of thing. The fourth level is you're fighting the CEO, which you're like in a big business building. It does take a weird twist for the design in it, but for the most part, it's like it gets cleaner. You can definitely tell, like, you go from the slums to like the higher end, like the financial district type thing. It's done very well, and like you said, like the shortcuts, you have to find the keys first, but then like if you're doing runs to end on a younger age, you can find these shortcuts. I don't know if they're in every level. I know it's one in the botanist, and I know there's one in I found the one for, was it the museum or was it the for the CEO building? It was one of the other two that I found a shortcut for, but I don't know if it's in every level. But I like how it was designed, and it's not like a hub areas per se, but I like how it lets you explore and like where you can find certain items or like find like pickup items to like help you clear room enemies.
Yeah, I agree. Like I know I found the one for the first one and the museum, like because you get like
Yeah,
the elevator like passcode and everything.
yeah,
So like you literally go straight to the boss fight. So you beat the
yeah,
first two guys and then you can hop in the elevator and go straight there. And like I've done that and I got the furthest but doing that because like you weren't going through waves and waves and waves of
yeah,
enemies. The only problem is like you don't get to use any of the jade like statues,
yeah.
the totem poles,
Like,
essentially, the totems.
well, there's not as many because on the first one when I went through the shortcut, I still found like a few of them,
Mhm.
but they definitely cut out a lot if you take these shortcuts.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and you're not getting XP, and all that good stuff, but that's not world design and
yeah,
everything. Um, the music was great. The way, like,
Yeah.
There's a specific hallway in the club where you're going
Yes.
and it's like tickety-doo, like the lights are going and
Yeah.
everything. Like I love that hallway. I hate the fight that you have to do right after that with all the people like busting through the side
Right.
doors and everything. But like the world really works well together, and
Mhm.
it really tells the story. And there's even like with Sean's, like him, like the cerebral where it would like go from like club to like this dojo kind of place, and like it was kind of weird. Like I didn't really understand the under, why that was happening. Again, I
Yeah.
played completely without any dialogue at all in
Yeah.
the game, so maybe they explained it, but I'm not 100% sure. But like the three levels that I did play, they're very stark, different,
Yeah.
contrasting and everything. The museum has some of the most interesting fight sequences.
Yes. Yes.
One of my favorite is you go into the room and it has like glass, it has like light bulbs that have paint in them. And you
Yeah.
literally can like grab them and just start yeeting them at the two
Yeah.
mini bosses. And like they're like getting hit and like the glass is breaking and like hurting them and everything. But you can
Yeah.
literally throw it and like paint will get all over the place. And it's just really like visually like detailed.
That's yeah, exactly. So I like that too. And like I think it was the museum where it's like all of a sudden like you enter this one room and like a bunch of guys just start busting through like glass like displays or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
And it's like, bro, what is happening? Like let
yeah.
me chill. And then I know and it's I like how what was it? It was in this one room, I think was it a mini boss or just like a few enemies? The little like
Oh yeah, yeah. The
the swirling thing,
the
like, that
paint.
was aesthetically pleasing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little paint what it was trying to replicate a paintbrush,
Hmm.
and it was just going in a circle. I'm like, "Man, this is really cool if I didn't have to fight enemies in this room."
Yeah, and when if you like throw someone in that, or if you like get hit by it, it actually does
Yeah,
damage to you. So it's like,
yeah,
and it won't just like keep going in the same circle. Like it will change
mhm.
its trajectory on like if you touch it or move it, like it will, yeah,
Oh,
it'll do a
okay.
different shape because it's being moved and everything. And
Right.
like to kind of reiterate this is like we hadn't even said this before on this show, but this is a small development team that has worked on this
Yeah.
game, and it's really impressive what they were able to do in this. Before we get into gameplay, there's one
Mhm.
sequence that I absolutely love. They've shown it so many times, but it's the hallway scene in the first level where it's like
Yes.
Daredevil or Old Boy, whichever one you want to
Yeah.
compare it to. It is so fun. Every time you go into that hallway, it's just like, all right, let me destroy these people. And then you just go in and you just wreck house. Like it's so
Yeah.
fun.
I think was it the museum? I keep because the museum and the CEO building are like really back to back, and so I get
Mm,
some of the stuff confused. There's another hallway scene that they give you. I forget if it's museum or
it's
if
the
it's CEO,
museum
but
where you have like a
museum.
sword.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, like that one. I still think the first one had the better hallway scene just because it felt more enclosed, more
Mhm.
like and then plus like it's the first time you witness this from the
Yeah.
side angle view. And I like how they do like pan out to like more of the side scrolling type of thing. And it's like because you're inexperienced, you don't know what's happening. By the time you get to the museum, you kind of expect it, and it feels like more spaced out. It gives you more room to outmaneuver the enemies and just work on them.
Yeah. That one you definitely have a lot more room to like there's more, front to back spacing
Yeah,
in that one and everything. And you have a sword, thankfully. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, that one was fun. Like the trippy part was like once you got past the hallway in the museum,
yeah,
like where it was like the art displays and everything, and they were like coming to life.
yeah. That one threw me for a loop too.
Yeah, yeah.
It felt like a Far Cry acid trip.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And then finding like the rain room was really interesting as well because like
Yeah,
if you got further out, you could hardly see anything. So it's
yeah,
like you had to stay in the middle to be able to see where enemies were coming from, and
right.
then you had the if you didn't defeat everybody as the fight went on, like the three enemies that come in, it's like the two girls and then the big like sumo guy or whatever.
The juggernaut.
Yeah, the juggernaut. Like everyone will like fade, like they will literally pull back for those three to come in and fight you. I don't know if you
Oh
experienced that
wow.
or anything. It was very interesting. It was like it
I
was
can't remember.
yeah, it was just really cool looking and everything. But the world is really, really great. All the different paths, all the different like things that you're finding. Like you've got this detective board essentially,
Mhm.
and like the more you explore, the more things you might open up for previous levels that will make your run better the
Yeah.
next time. And
Yeah.
it's also like, finding the totems are such an important part for your upgrades and everything, because some
Yep.
upgrades are, essential, to how old you
Yes.
are. Some, really make you more powerful or make your weapons more durable. Like you have to be
Mhm.
very strategic on which ones you pick. And if you
Yeah.
go backwards to, start a run again, you'll lose all of those totems.
Yes.
So
Yep.
you have to be very, very careful about that. So speaking of all of that, let's jump into gameplay. Derek,
Yep.
what are your thoughts on gameplay?
Well, as we've seen before, like neither one of us saw the unforgiving
Yeah.
difficulty this game presented. Now, I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago. They are going to do a patch or like a accessibility patch that will give it an easier mode.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll go back and play the final boss on that mode
Yeah.
when I get to it. But that's neither here nor there. I was not expecting it. Like, from the get go. Like I died several times in the first level, and then by the time I got to the boss, I died so much I went through like 2 or 3 coins, and I'm like, I noticed this because you start at age 20 and you die at age 70.
Hmm.
I picked up on it's like, well, how do you determine when the coins actually break? It's when you go up the next age level, like when you get
Yeah.
in your 30s, the first coin breaks, and then like it's every 10 levels of age, then
Yeah.
it finally breaks. So it's it was definitely not what I was expecting. Like, yeah, you pick up on some stuff, and as you said, as you gain more skills, you pay attention to more things, and you gain more abilities. It gets somewhat easier, but it's still like you have to pay attention. You have to be
Hmm.
on your P's and Q's. You have to buy the right skills that suit your play style
Yep.
for how you want to approach a match. Um, yeah, I was not expecting how unforgiving this was. They did not. They kept a lot of things close to the vest. Like they just showed,
Yeah.
like like you said, it's a small production company. They said, "Hey, you like kung fu, or you want to witness like this kind of game with this aging mechanic, like a roguelike type of thing? Here you go." And they told you nothing
Yeah.
else. Like
Yeah.
you couldn't pick between. And it's like, all right, cool. This looks like a fun game. And you open it up, it's like, gotcha.
Well, it's like the first level, you're like, okay. And then the second level is just like,
Oh my gosh. It goes 0 to 60 real quick. Like the boss in the club was just like, oh my gosh, the staff was so annoying. I forget what game it was that had like a staff enemy, and it was just like reminded reminiscent of that because he's just like sitting there poking you at the end of it. It's like, stop, leave me be. Feel like he's mocking me at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but but yeah, no, it oh my gosh, like I could go on about the gameplay loop, but it it's just it's rewarding. It's not on the level of Dark Souls. I don't want to. Too many games are like, oh, it's the Dark Souls of this genre or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's like that gets thrown around too much, but it is brutal. And I do think like with games like this and Dark Souls and whatnot, I feel like video games have held our hands too much. Like it makes us used to like easy
Hmm.
mode or baby mode type of thing, and
Yeah.
that's depending on what type of lifestyle you live, that's okay. I'm not saying there's a wrong with it, but we've gotten too accustomed to this that when we find a game that actually doesn't hold your hand, we like Sekiro. Like people complained way too much about Sekiro,
Yeah.
and it's like, have
Yeah.
you not played a From Software game before?
Yeah.
And it's like, people complain way too much about it, and it's like we just hate it because it doesn't
Hmm.
like give us an insta win. And it's like, no, you got to earn this. And I
Yeah.
respect games that aren't afraid to do that, especially a small studio like this.
Yeah, there's definitely a skill gap in this game. And I think
Yeah.
that's, you know, if you put in the time, you can learn this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not just given to you on, you press square. Like I think of it akin to, okay, it is a hardcore mode of like an Arkham game. Like it is a hardcore
Yeah.
mode of an Arkham game where
Or even hard mode of Fallen Order.
yeah, exactly. And this one, it's like, okay, the basics are the most important thing. You can do all these flashy moves, you can do all of that, but if you can't dodge, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Like if
And as I've learned,
yeah, if you don't learn how to avoid and parry, you're gonna die over and over again. Like as I kept playing, I would go into combat and I would literally just hold the L1 button.
yeah,
And like I would just dodge and then get an opening and then do some, some combos
yep,
and then hold L1 again. Like,
yep,
and I would, if I was getting like surrounded, I would make some space for myself. Like having to learn that was such an important thing because if you don't learn that from the get go, you're going to die a lot and you're going to get frustrated.
yeah,
It's like, why is this not working? Because I was like, why does the block not work? Like I would literally press L1 and it would work and sometimes it wouldn't.
yeah,
It's just like
yeah,
hold it down and avoid. Like it's way better to avoid because then there's actual openings. Because
yeah.
parrying
Unless,
is
and of
way
course,
harder.
right. I mean, yeah, I've just come to the point, like, even back in my heyday, I could not parry to save my life. Like, if you gun to my head and you said you have to parry this one move in a video game, like, and it's the easiest video game in the world, I'm like, can't do it, Chief. I'll mess it up. I'm sorry. Pull that trigger. And it's like, I just can't parry in a video game worth my salt.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's like, I told you, and I told this while you were on a bathroom break, but I said, you know this, when I went to, because the club, I went in there like age 50 something, and I
Mhm,
was getting my butt handed to me left and right. And I'm just like, man, let me go do this run of the first level again to try and get a younger age.
mhm.
Came out at the same age, and I even took the shortcut. And I texted you, was like, man, I don't know about this one, man. And then you said, all right, here's the pointers you got to do. And it did. I don't want to say it's perfect, but like I was telling a chat on the bathroom break, as long as I can just get through the level like in the next age group, I'm fine. Like if I end level 2 on age 30, I'm good. Or for like late age
Mhm.
40 or whatever. Like I'm like in my late 50, no, early 60s on the final boss. That's why I keep dying and I just gave up essentially. But
Yeah,
as long as I can go just last like the next age group in at the end of each level, I'm good.
yeah, yeah. I try to get as young as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Like going into the museum, I think I'm like early 30s. So
Yeah.
like early 30s, late 20s. And
Yeah.
that's several runs through um the club,
Yeah.
like several runs through
Yeah.
the club. Because I think later on there's a way the guy that like not the front door guy, but the one that's like you go down the stairs, there's a way to
Like
get to
that
Sean.
holds you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a way to get to Sean through that door behind him, but you have to
Yeah.
have like some
A
sort
key
of
card.
pass or something for you to be able to do that. So, there's a way to kind of circumnavigate that so you do get like a faster going in there. And
Yeah.
it's, learning the bosses. Like some of those levels, it's like it takes you forever to get to the boss. Like the second one, it took me forever to get to the boss. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I just need to learn his moves so I can avoid them.
Yeah.
That's what it really boiled down to. Like the crazy lady is really hard when you don't have a weapon because
Especially in that second stage.
yeah, like if you don't have a weapon, guess what? Those knife thingies are gonna cut you up. Like if you don't avoid
Yeah.
it. Like
Cut you up like a Thanksgiving turkey.
there's one move where she goes down low, then she goes high, and then she goes low again. So
Yeah.
like you have to like make sure to do, get out of the way of those and like timing all of that. And I think it's really important that people understand it's like you've got to dodge, you've got to avoid,
Yeah.
and then you get to do like your special moves, your focus moves
Yeah.
or whatever, which I think a lot of people forget about because like those are opportunities to open up your
Yeah.
opponent for bigger attacks.
Yeah. And how about this? I don't want to say I forget. How about this? I didn't use them a lot because I would forget how to utilize them
Hmm.
in the beginning. But then it's like, all right, when I got serious about how I should approach it, I did use them, but I didn't use a variety of them. I just used like the little like sweep
The
down,
sweet kick,
takedown
the
move, and
sweet kick.
yeah, the sweep kick. That's pretty much what I used, like spammed most
Hmm.
of the time. Like I didn't really explore the repertoire of the moves
Yeah.
for my focus, but I just did enough to like get a breather, gain my composure, and get it a few more hits
Hmm.
and back up.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So that kind of brings me to a point that I want to make is the upgrade tree, the skill
Yeah,
tree that's in there. So you have kind of two different skill trees. You've got the totem pole, the jade totems that are
Yeah.
throughout the missions, and you have three different parts of that. You've got one that's based on your age, that has three
Yeah.
options. You've got one that's based off of your level score, there's three options,
Yeah.
and then you have one that's off of XP. And when you first start, you're like, oh, well, my age, I'm really young, let me go get the hearts, let me do that.
Yeah.
But the game doesn't tell you that, hey, the one in the middle are the more powerful ones. So you
Yeah.
totally like I didn't start doing it until way later, focusing on
Yeah.
those. And then the other thing is the actual skill tree. To permanently unlock a skill, you've got to buy it multiple times. So,
Yeah.
like when I first started playing, I just bought a bunch of random ones. I'm like, oh yeah, just buying all of
Me
this.
too.
And then you die, and then you'd start all over again. It's like, I don't have any skills anymore. I got to do all this
Yeah.
again. So what I started doing is I'd go to level 1 and I would try to get as many XP as I possibly could and buy a
Right.
skill, completely buy a skill. And then I'd go back to the beginning of level 1 and buy another skill. I'd continually do that so I would have as much as possible. That
Hmm.
way, throughout the whole run, whatever run I do now, I've got skills that I can actually use.
Yeah, and they're practical. Like I said, like, and it gives a variety of like different ones, like all these focus moves that you have. It's like depending on the play style you want to have. If you want to be like more cautious and more on the defensive and like do more for counterplay or like more to
Mhm.
parry off of or like defend or whatever, there's skills for that. If you want to be more aggressive and like, because that's why I tried to do aggressive and it didn't work out so well. So I tried to play more of like a blend,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
be aggressive when I need to, but be defensive when I need to. And there's skills for different. It just depends on like you got to cherry pick and you got to know which ones suit what you want to do.
Yeah.
So I like how they did tailor to that. It's like it's kind of like, and I don't want to keep bringing this up, especially because it's like they're both like Asian style games, but Ghost had two different skill trees depending
Mhm.
on the play style. Like if you want to play more of a stealth run,
Yeah.
they had skills for that. If you wanted to play more of a gung ho, like go in there and cut everybody up in their grandmother, they had a skill tree for that one. So you just gotta, but for Sifu, it's more you gotta cherry pick. It doesn't say,
Yeah.
all right, here's the skills for this. Here's the skills in this tree. You just got to kind of read the fine print
Yep.
and know which one you want to do.
Yep. Yep.
And you told me this, and I know you've said this on stream a lot. When you go like after each level, you go to that safe haven room that and there's like that training dummy that you can go to
Mhm.
practice. You want to, especially if you just unlock new moves and like
Yep.
you try to use them on the fly, like in the level, especially you bought them in on your progression path. If you haven't really gotten them down pat or like, hey, it's like, hey, I didn't use this or I couldn't figure out how to do this. Let
Mhm.
me figure out how to do this. Use the training dummy or go to the training area because it will be your friend. Like, I'm not saying it will make you perfect because
Yeah.
like I said, I'm on the final boss in my 60s. But it helps. It does make a difference if you want to get better.
Yeah, definitely. And like one of the things like with the training, like there's one that I really love. It's like you hit triangle and then you wait and then you hit triangle again. And it's like this really fast, like kung fu move. Like it's super
Yeah.
dope. But like you have to really get the timing between the first hit and then the second hit. Like you have to,
Yeah.
I mean, it's really working on that. Or like the leg sweep, not the focus one, but the leg sweep kick, like
Yeah.
it's super hard to get like in the game. Like it's not like
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, this is very important. You could use this, but getting it to actually happen is so much harder because it's
Yeah.
like down, up, triangle. Like, and it's not
Yeah.
like D-pad, it's the joystick that's like,
Yeah. I
oh,
know.
yeah.
And see, that's why I don't really play fighting like traditional fighting games like Street Fighter or whatnot, because they have like quarter circle turns and all this move. I'm like, man, I'd just be flicking the sticks. Like
Yeah.
like I'll try to do the actual input and it does something entirely different. I'm just like, screw it. Fine, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And like it's really figuring out, like you said, getting your style, figuring out how you're going to play and what is most effective. Because
Yeah.
like you can say, oh well, I'm going to play aggressive. Okay. And then you get somebody that's like that's like Sean, and he just like whoops you because you don't know how to avoid. And you know,
Yeah.
and going into the training section and just avoiding, just getting used to
Yeah.
moving around and all of that. It's so good.
Yeah.
You know, kind of mentioned the aging mechanic. I think this is really a unique system that is from this game. You know,
Yeah.
we've got time loops from Death Loop and all of, you know, and 12 seconds and all of these kind of, or you
Yeah.
know, not 12 seconds. Was it 12 seconds?
12 minutes.
12 minutes. There you go. You've got all these different time things, but this is the first one that in game you die, you resurrect, you're older.
Mhm.
And
And what is it when you get in your late 40s or 50s? I didn't know this either because I'm just like, why am I dying faster? Like, why am
Mhm.
my health bars seem low? They up your damage, but they lower your health.
It's
And it's
every
like, oh, it's almost like they're punishing you. It's like, oh, you keep dying. Well, guess what? We're gonna make it harder for you. And I'm like, bro,
yeah, yeah.
why?
Yeah. Well, and it's every 10 years, like you lose less health, but you do deal more damage. So it's like,
Yeah,
hey, learn how to dodge and
yeah,
you'll live and you can actually punch harder. But if you
yeah,
don't learn how to dodge, you're gonna die again.
yeah,
And one of the things it's like you have your age, okay, and then you have your death counter. And the
yes.
game does not explain this off the get-go. So let's say you're age 20. For everyone that has
Yeah,
not played it, you're age 20, you die once, you level up. You age up
age up.
to 21.
Yep.
You die a second time, your death counter goes up to 2, and it adds 2 onto your
So you
age.
become 23. So if you're like 35 and you die a seventh time and it adds up, you go to 42.
Yeah.
Because I know that's how, well, again, when we saw the preview trailer and they showed like the death reel, like the death and revive and the age, and we were like, all right, how does it count for what age and what do you
Yeah.
die at, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, now that you see it, it makes sense. But what I do like about it is, now, I think there's other ways to do it as well, but when you do that, like when you do the guard break on your enemies and you do like the thing is a triangle circle, the combo, if you do that enough times, you can lower your death counter.
Mhm.
You have a chance to lower it, and especially if you early skills you need to get on, by the way, is if you're especially if you're getting your butt kicked like me, get you when you do counters or the guard break counters that it revives health. And you can, and when you go to shrines, you can do it to where it revives more health over
Yeah.
time as well. So get those as well to help you with that. And it also like doing that also lowers your death counter. So like if you're like in your 30s and you get all the way back down to 1 or 0 deaths, but and then it won't hurt the next time you die as much. So there is give and take. Like I know we talked about the brutal, like there is a learning curve,
Yeah.
but you gotta have to be willing to put in the time for it. But it does give you places, unlike Dark Souls and that whole Soulsborne genre, it doesn't give you any breaks.
Yeah.
Sifu does try to give you breaks when needed. You just got to know how to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and like at the Jade Totems, you can reset your counter, but that counts
Yes.
as like your transaction at that totem and everything, which is nice. And so here's a qualm that I have about the game. You know, you
Mhm.
brought up where you can reset your counter, you can bring it down by 1.
Mm.
The like that's not always the case. Like it
Yeah.
happens at random times.
Yeah.
And it's mainly because of there are enemies within groups that have the chance to go what I call ultra instinct.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They get really strong and they become much harder. That is a chance for you to do, you know, the takedown and be able to get, you know, taken down 1 death count
Yeah.
and everything. With something that I found out, the more takedowns you do, the chance of that person going ultra instinct, if you will, is much higher. So the more you
Yeah.
do takedowns within a group, the more chances when you start fighting that person and you try to do a takedown, they're going to counteract it and then they're going to pop off and start giving you a lot more trouble. The
Yeah.
game
Exactly.
does not tell you that.
No.
And you can kind of see it like when you're fighting them, there's like a gray aura around them a little bit. It's very
Yeah.
opaque, but there's a gray aura. If you see those kind of people, try to take them out first. Like if you got a
Yes.
weapon, or you know, like whatever, try to take them out first because the
They will
potential,
make your life miserable.
yeah, the potential of them leveling up in difficulty,
Yeah.
like it makes it so much harder. They're difficult to begin with, but you know what I mean? Like if you can take them out first, it's going to be a lot easier on you. There's just like several things within the game that they just do not explain at all. It's just kind of like
Yeah.
you have to figure out this obtuse kind of gameplay mechanics. You know, you'll figure it out, or you'll watch a
Yeah.
YouTube video because somebody else figured it out and everything. But
Right. Exactly.
you know, I overall I like, you know, the mechanics and everything. There are
Yeah.
mini bosses like the two before Sean. Oh man,
Yeah.
they're so annoying. They're so annoying.
Like, and they come at such random times, and like the enemy placement, like there are just some times where I'm just like, really? Like there was this one room, I think it was the museum or was it the club, where it's like there's two juggernauts that just come at you, and they're
Yeah.
both like fast boys. So like I call them kingpins, you know, because they're like
Yeah.
heavy set or whatever. Like, and they're like two kingpins that come in, and I'm just like, really?
Yep.
One by itself or one with smaller enemies is bad enough.
Yep.
You give me just two of these big boys? No, thank you.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like a lot of enemies do this too. Like you see when they go aggro, like they grow like the red spheres go around their hands or feet.
Mhm.
And basically those are not blockable moves. Like those are like guard breaks type of
Yeah.
things. So just be careful. The kingpins will like do the bear hug and then sumo slam you. And I'm like, bro, no.
Yeah, yeah.
Like not two of them.
Yeah.
One thing I have to as I know we're on the enemies. One thing I have to say that was weird that I caught this. It was a line of dialogue. I know you had yours muted or like not on subtitles for stream purposes, but there's one enemy. It was in the CEO level where he was like, "Sir, embrace justice," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Thanks for that. Like, thank you for telling me what what my job is supposed to be here. Why is an enemy telling me this?
Embrace
I don't."
justice.
Right. It's like, I'm like, what? This is a weird dialogue choice, but sure, we'll go with that. Thank you, sir. As I beat you unconsciously.
You know, fists of justice.
Yeah, but you know, and you know, with the outside of the mini bosses and the kingpins, I feel like a lot of the times of like the enemies, like again, this is where it differs from Dark Souls, and I don't want to compare it to Dark Souls. Obviously, it doesn't use a gang mentality for most of the enemies that they do. It's like you just go face off like maybe one or two enemies at most of the time, and they just like kick your butt.
Yeah.
Sifu, with the exception of like the random like one-off enemies or whatever, most of the time like you face them, you can handle the groups. Like most of the time,
Yeah.
if you die, it's just because you're not paying attention or like you just don't or you just aren't playing it right. But it's the bosses that make it, that definitely are like the bread and butter of the fighting mechanics for sure. Like we said, like the mini bosses do have their moments, but you can manage them, and they try not to like overwhelm you. Like they don't give you a mini boss and then it's like they flood the room with like 50 enemies.
Yeah.
They do bring in enemies like every so often, but it's not like they overbear you with it. The bosses, on the other hand, they don't need any enemies really. They're just like, hey, we are an army. We're gonna manhandle you. And each boss has two stages. Like there's that first stage, and then it's like when they go Super Saiyan, and then it's like it's harder.
Yeah.
Like the botanist. Like the botanist is like, all right, cool. Well, I have my plants. I have like my little storage thing. I'm gonna be ducking and weaving and bouncing off of things, and like, all right, cool. You're a jungle gym. Got it. Then that second one is, and the plant foliage just grows around you, and it's like, I will hide in the shade, and I'll jump out at you like a spider monkey, and it's like, okay, cool. The third boss, the artist, like she has that chain staff or whatever. It's like, okay, cool, not manageable, but still annoying. Then it's like her second form is like, bro, she goes like
Mental.
crazy.
Yeah. Throwing kunai and all this kind of stuff. And
Yeah,
it's
right. The CEO. Ironically, her first stage, like, cause she's missing an arm, and she has like this, like the little chain attack or like the little chain weapon. And ironically, she's like, I knew that was gonna be the worst one I had, because I hate enemies with like long range attacks because they don't let you get in close.
Yeah.
And Sifu's like a get in close, like
there's no
we gonna become family, right? And her first stage wasn't bad. Like I was like mentally prepping for this.
Yeah.
And her first stage, I'm like, all right. it's bad, but it's manageable. It's not. Then her second form goes off, and she gets faster and
Mm,
more lethal with the chain, and like does more combos. And I'm like, okay, I was severely wrong on this one.
yeah.
But but no, like the bosses definitely are. If you couldn't tell the prologue mission, the bosses are definitely going to be the most interesting part of each level.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes, you can say that about a lot of video games, but when you get your butt beat and like when you slosh through the trenches of the normies to like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
kingpins or like the mini bosses to get there, and then you like reach the top of the mountain, it's like, I'm here, I deserve a cookie, and it's like your cookie's death.
Yeah. 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 Like the first time you encounter a boss, you're not gonna beat him.
No,
You're not gonna beat
no,
him 100%, like at all. You're gonna get destroyed. First time going through a level, you're probably gonna die a lot. You're learning the level, you're learning the layout, you're learning the enemy types, like going
yeah,
from the botanists, like they're just kind of like workers and thugs. Then you go
yeah,
to the club, they're actually more fighters, like they're
yeah,
more trained and everything. You go to the museum, every flipping person has a
yeah,
weapon. My
yes,
gosh,
oh my
everybody's got a
gosh,
weapon.
especially blades.
Yes, blades, like, oh my lord. And like it just every and I think I like that because like a lot of games, they only have a certain amount of variety in their enemies. There's only so many
Yeah,
enemy types. And like,
you can only do so many archetypes.
yeah, and like you see that in the game, but like, this one might have a blade. This one might have a baseball bat. This one might be one of the, ones that can go ultra. This one might be a juggernaut or, whatever it is.
Hmm.
Like there's so many different styles, or it might be a mini boss that's hidden within the level. Like the differences and the fighting styles all change and make it where you have to adapt to whatever situation is coming at you. And I think Sifu does that so well. It kind
Yes.
of reminds me, there's a Bruce Lee movie where like he has to fight like through this whole like it's essentially like an island or chambers of death or whatever you
Yeah.
want to say. And like each person has like different like moves, like they fight differently and everything. And it's like he's having to adapt to each new fighter's abilities and
Yeah.
everything. There was a SpongeBob episode,
Oh,
Karate
okay.
Island, was kind of spoofed off of it. I think it's Enter the Dragon. I think that's the name of the movie and
Mm.
everything. But like this is very like reminiscent of Enter the Dragon. I'm making sure. Yeah, Enter the Dragon. That's the one I'm talking about. Yep. So it's much like that. Boss fights difficult, my lord. Like you go in, like you get maybe like 2 minutes if you're lucky to kind of learn
Yeah.
their style, and then you're dead,
Yep.
and then you have to go trudge back through, and then try it again.
Yeah. And then if you're able to beat them the first time, then you have to learn their second stage, and that's even more of a trick.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like Sean's, like he'll start talking, and then you can like start striking him from the very beginning.
Yeah.
His doesn't change as much. He'll just do like some swings like over your
Yeah.
head or down at your feet. So that's about
Yeah.
the only thing that changes. And I got one of the most useful perks, like upgrades or whatever to your skill set, is like when you get knocked down, you can
Hmm.
leg sweep your enemy and knock them down.
Yeah.
That one, like especially with Sean, like he'd knock me down and then I'd sweep him out from under his feet and then I'd beat him and then he'd get back up. So like that's how I was able to beat him, was because I had
Wow.
that perk unlocked and I was able to knock him down anytime I missed that like leg sweep dodge or whatever. So
Yeah.
it was
Huh.
much needed, much needed. So any other thing on gameplay you want to add, Derek?
No, other than just like the final boss, like I said, he's a handful. And like he's like super like 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 if you ever saw oh, what's that anime called? Like Fist of the North Star, like where he does like that ultimate move and like your body explodes, like
Yeah.
pretty much like that, except your body doesn't explode. But like he's got fast fists, and it's like he does like there is no forgiving. Like most of the bosses like have points where they give you breathers.
Yeah.
He doesn't. Like the breathing windows are like milliseconds, and it's like you better figure out or adjust on the as soon as you get that opening,
Yeah.
because he doesn't give you one for long. And on the final level, like you know, you have to trudge through it to get to the boss of that level, right? There's not a really long level for the final one, but there was this one where you go through the training grounds, and they're like training, and you just fight the instructor. And I'm just thinking, man, you have to like, there's all these people are like kung fu training, like I have to fight this whole class, and they don't. They just kind of like watch you, they just let you and watch that you beat up their instructor. I'm like, all right, not as bad as I thought. But yeah, gameplay definitely, like I know we said the story, nothing to write home about. It's your typical revenge tale, but this is like the story is the gameplay, and that's where you get a lot of the water cooler moments from. Even though this game doesn't have multiplayer, and that's you know, a lot of the games that have water cooler moments nowadays are multiplayer experiences, but this one is like, no, they're gameplay experiences for sure.
I know, like, I think it was Absolver, which was the previous game for this company. It did
Yeah.
have like co-op multiplayer with it, and like they dropped it for a more like streamlined version of this game and everything, which I think that, you know, was a good choice. Was definitely a good choice. Now we've got one last subject to jump in, and that is the secret ending, which I know nothing about. I don't know the ending at all. So Derek.
So I Googled, well, I YouTube this as well, just because I saw this like in a breakdown. I'm just like, oh, Sifu secret ending. I'm like, all right, what is this? I'm not going to go into detail. I'm gonna try and be vague as possible. There is a way, like they do, like, you know, we talk about replay and doing the levels different every time or whatnot, try to get a younger age. They do let you go back and play through again. Only this time they let you spare the bosses. And then after you spare the bosses, something happens, like a different ending happens at the final boss, and you get transported to this one, and it's like it's just, like I forget if there's like any significance, but there is a way, like it has like an alternate ending, like a true secret alternate ending, where you can spare it, like have mercy on the boss instead of like going on a rampage revenge tale. You can just be like, hey, do better, or like I'm gonna give you a second chance at life or whatever. And they do like transport, like it's a different, like something happens to you, you know, in turn for sparing them, which I won't get into, because you haven't beaten it, but it does make it different. Does it make it worth an extra playthrough? You can debate it. It does or it doesn't, but it's just a cool little thing that, you know, it's like, hey, you did all this work. You can spare them on this second run. I'm like, okay, why?
Oh yeah, and like I had seen somewhere like that you could spare them. I'm like, how? I was like, how does that?
Yeah.
But like that makes more sense like your second time through. But it's like once you've beaten it, it's like you understand how the game works. So like it's going to cut the time down drastically. It's like when
Yeah.
Naruto is training to add the wind change chakra to the Rasengan.
Yeah.
And it's like he's using the shadow clone jutsu to you know, make
Speed
it
up the process.
yeah, it's like that's you've literally done that now. So now you've got all that knowledge of all the time that you spent training and everything. We got really nerdy there, guys, because I'm watching Shippuden right now, and like he just finished the training. He's like 50%. Like he just used it, like the shuriken and the shuriken.
Rasen Shuriken.
Yeah. And then it failed. Like that's where I stopped watching.
Yeah.
Like I was getting ready for the show and everything.
Yeah.
Man, Naruto's good, guys. I used to hate on Naruto a lot. That show's good. That show's really good.
Hey,
now, like I much rather watch it in sub than dub, because I don't know if I can handle believe it all day long. Like I watched the regular one in dub, which was fine. Like he didn't say it as much as I thought.
No, it's like after the first arc, he quit saying it as much. I'm like, good, this is manageable.
Yeah, yeah. Which I miss Guy Sensei's voice, like in the American version. You know,
Kakashi.
Derek is Guy Sensei. Let's just say that.
I guess.
Dude, he's awesome. Like, why wouldn't you want to
He
be
is.
gay? Like
I
opening
don't want.
the eighth gate, man. It's like
Right now, broken.
that's why no
Figuratively and literally.
like no one ever like killed him, because if they ever used resurrection jutsu, like it would be
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Someone brought that up a while, like years ago, and I thought about it. I'm like, that's a very valid point.
Oh, well, there you go, guys. I know we went on a little bit about some Naruto, but the Golden Knife loves his Naruto. Just like he enjoyed Sifu. I enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
So, Derek, would you recommend someone playing Sifu?
How about this? I wouldn't recommend it to everyone. It's definitely only for those who have the time to want to like learn a challenging game and to like, first of all, they have to want to play a challenging game or like a game that gives a steep learning curve, and then have the time to devote to that. Because if they only have like a few times, just a few hours a night or like an hour a night just to enjoy a video game, they don't want to spend that just dying over and over again in the same level and not progressing.
Yeah.
They want to learn that, but it's definitely for ones that are like, it wouldn't be the first video game I would recommend, like baby's first video game to get into, but for those who like want a challenge or like seasoned video game or like even fighting game enthusiasts, I would say that, hey, this is something that you should get into.
Yeah. I would say like if you like learning like deep systems of a game, and you want to put in the time for something like this, then this is a game for you. If you like the roguelike game, something that is, going to really challenge you and you're going to get your money's worth out of this game. Let's just say that. Like if you are playing the game, you're going to get the money's worth out of it, because it's going to take you some time to learn it and beat it.
Yeah.
So you're definitely going to get your $40 or $50 out of,
I was going to say,
out of the game. Like there's so much replayability, there's so much to learn and unlock, and even the secret ending, there's a whole nother playthrough run that you can do after you beat the game. And again, this is a small studio. The more people support this game, the more chances we'll get DLC or a second Sifu. Or just another game from that company, because like you said, I think I don't want to say it was their first game, but definitely like the game that put them on the map was Absolver, and then this is their second game. I forget how long ago Absolver came out, but it's been some years in between releases for them. So maybe, and who knows, maybe if they get put on the map, maybe Sony buys them. Maybe they're the next acquisition Sony does. Yeah, maybe that would be crazy. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. I'm
trying to look up the date for Absolver. 2017. So it's been a while.
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah, it's been a while. So, well, there you go.
Man, like that's crazy to think that when Absolver came out and when Sifu is like the same gap that the Horizon games came out. So, because Horizon, the first one was 2017 as well.
Yeah.
So.
Crazy. Yeah, it came out August 29th, 2017.
Wow.
All right, guys. Well, there you go. That is our Sifu review. We hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure to join us in our game club game for March, which is Horizon Zero Dawn. It's going to be fantastic. And let us know if you've played Sifu. What did you think of it? Did you enjoy it? Did it make you want to rage quit? Did it want to make you pull your hair out of your head? Because, that's also a possibility as well with this game. Yeah. Your hands will probably hurt after the first time you play. I will say that.
Oh, yeah.
I will definitely say that. Guys, make sure to make an awesome day out of something. I don't know where I was going with that. Guys, make sure that you hit that follow, the like, the share, the subscribe, and go listen to us on podcast services around the globe. You can check us out, NerdCave at Newz. Leave us a 5-star review. Let's see how far we can climb up the charts of the video game category.
Yeah. Can we break 250?
Yeah. Can we get up to number 1? Can we do it?
Hey, we got some competition, but it all depends on our lovely fans.
Yep. You, the listener, can you can change this. You can change the power structure of video games.
You've got the power.
That's a good song. It's a good song. Guys, we hope you enjoyed it. This has been Zach.
And the golden knife.
Y'all have a blessed night. Bye.